In the last video, you've created your transform. The next step is to create a job that applies that transform to your video asset. Before you start, make sure your asset is already available in MKIO and that you've created the transform you want to use. If you haven't done that yet, check the videos in the description. To create the video processing job, you need to go to video processing in the left-hand menu. Then open the Jobs tab. In there, you can then click Create Job. Start by selecting the transform you want to use. You should see the one we created earlier here. Then you need to provide a job name and an optional description. This helps you keep track of its functionality. You can also adjust the job priority from high to low. High priority jobs will be processed first when resources become available. The job input can be any existing asset in MKIO or an external URL. If you're using an existing asset, you can either type the asset name directly or browse your available assets. If you're using an external source, enter the full HTTPS or SAS URL. Just make sure the file is accessible. Next, select the storage account where the processed asset should be saved. Finally, assign a name for the output asset and click Submit to start the job. You can also duplicate an existing job if you want to reuse similar settings. Once the job is submitted, MKIO begins processing in the background. The job then moves through several stages: queued, scheduled, processing, and finished. You can track progress directly in the video processing section. A percentage indicator shows how far the job is. Once finished, the new asset will appear in the assets view. With the job completed, let's look at a couple of additional capabilities you can use. In some scenarios, you may not want to process the entire asset. Instead, you might only need a specific portion of the video. MKIO allows you to define a time range for the job input, so the transform runs only on that selected segment. This is useful for creating highlights, extracting clips, or processing a specific section of longer content. This capability is known as input clipping, and it's configured through the MKIO API rather than directly through the UI. Beyond processing the video itself, MKIO also supports enhancements for playback. One example of this is thumbnail previews. To enable this, a thumbnail sprite file must be generated for the asset using a thumbnail transform. Once available, the sprite file can be referenced during playback. When configured in the player, viewers can hover over the timeline and see visual thumbnails for different points in the video, making navigation easier and more intuitive. For full setup details, including player and thumbnail track configuration, refer to the documentation. We've now covered the key steps for video processing and encoding in MKIO, from configuring VOD transforms to running processing jobs on all your assets. We also looked at input clipping, which allows you to process only a selected portion of the video, and thumbnail seeking, which enhances playback with visual previews. Once processing is complete, you can create a streaming locator to make the asset available for playback. For more detailed configuration options and advanced workflows, refer to our documentation.